Welcome everyone and hello. So today we'll be talking about deploying Zoom-based Telehealth 2.0 carts, kiosks, and tablets. Just like the delivery of healthcare is evolving, so is the technology associated with it. And we think we have a really good content prepared for you today. So my name is George Lillig. I'm head of healthcare, government, and education here at Zoom. And we have a very distinguished guest with us today, Mr. Ram Fish. So let me introduce Ram. Ram comes to us today from a company called 19 Labs, based right here in Silicon Valley. He's the founder and CEO. He has partnered with Zoom for telehealth to bring us GALE, the Telehealth 2.0 kiosk and tablet solution that they've created. Ram has an impressive background, spent his career building experiences and devices at Apple, Nokia, and Samsung, and specifically at Samsung, where he led Samsung's digital health voice of the body SIM-band initiative. Ram is definitely a mobile industry veteran and has brought his mobile expertise into the healthcare space. He's also founded 2 successful startups, holds a bachelor's and master's degree in computer engineering from Case Western Reserve University, and has an MBA from Yale. He lives in Redwood City with his wife and 3 children. One of them, Ram, who I understand, has inspired the creation of 19 Labs. So welcome, Ram. Let's jump right in. What's 19 Labs and what are you guys up to?
Thank you. Thank you for hosting us. So 19 Labs is a company I started in 2015, which, as you said, we are really focusing on develop the next generation of telehealth solutions. Before I started the company, I was leading digital health at Samsung, building what we call the voice of the body watch and healthcare initiative. And I was in the midst of looking at some of the most amazing digital health technologies, sensors that can detect everything around arrhythmia, medication compliance, everything that just your imagination can look into. And realized the huge opportunity of digital health. And then a couple of days after I ended up being on stage talking about this, I ended up going on a family vacation to Mexico, and I realized there was a much bigger problem that the healthcare industry needed to solve.
So what happened in Mexico, Ram? You mentioned you had a family thing that inspired you to create this company. What happened down there?
We ended up going scuba diving in a beautiful place called Cabo Pulmo in Mexico, and my 1-year-old daughter got sick that night. She ended up fine, but a couple of things struck me during the attempt to help her and figure out what we can do. The first one, that even for me as a relatively educated consumer who knows healthcare, knows technology, it was really hard to figure out all the right solution, the information, getting the coordination between the different care providers in the US locally. It was really difficult. At the same time, the local people in the clinic opened it to us during that night, and just wonderful people in healthcare, and I see it throughout the industry wherever I go, just amazing people who really care about patients. But these are not technologies, and most of the healthcare industry is not coming from technology, almost by definition. And if it's hard for me, it's even harder for them to figure out which technology can be used, how to integrate and how to validate, how to do it in a secure way. And that's a problem for the industry. And you know, we are now reading a lot about Atul Gawande and how he talks about the healthcare system. And one of the points he said is there is a real need for a system solution, bringing the pieces together in a way that really works seamlessly. And that's what I realized there is an opportunity to do.
So you're looking at it from a technology perspective. Tell us more about GALE.
So GALE is what we call a digital health center. It's about much more than traditional telehealth. First and foremost, we believe it really needs to be simple and inviting. Especially if you don't have a human in front of you, the experience for the person who needs to get in needs to be simple and inviting. You'll see on all of our point of care solutions, there is actually a single button, not more. The second thing is about usability. We are building everything so it can be used by a social worker, by an employee. You don't need to be healthcare educated. You don't need a professional to be able to use the units. And that has a significant impact on the cost of providing the care.
So, we founded Zoom, oh, go ahead, Ram. I think you have one more point to make.
No, that's fine. So basically, we have two units that are in the market today, more coming up. One is the 10-inch unit that can be carried by a social worker or a community worker with them. The other one is the 21-inch unit that you see in here. And again, you can see the experience is about making it simple and really, really easy to use, leveraging the best technologies.
So ease of use is a big deal, right? We see ease of use as really a price of entry to be in the telehealth space, and accessibility. And if you think about Zoom's history, we've really landed that as the foundation of our company, trying to make sure that collaboration and seeing somebody on video is the easiest possible experience. So can you elaborate on your thoughts on the same thing? And it looks like ease of use has been critical in your design.
Coming from Apple and Samsung, the ease of use is kind of a critical part for us. And the best way to show you is actually walk you through the experience. So give me a second. And you should now be able to see the screen of the unit as they're being used. So when you walk into the units, first and foremost, it's about providing information, just like if you walk into a physical clinic. And this is the homepage on the units. And you can see this is fully controlled by the healthcare organization. They can promote their brand, and then they can integrate different healthcare guides. So the user basically gets to know and learn about the healthcare experience before they actually use the units. All of those guides are controlled by the healthcare organization. They can write them. They can be videos. They can be step-by-step instructions. And it's really an opportunity to think about the experience of the patient from beginning to an end and providing everything for them. There is a set of sensors that every device has, and we are basically bringing together the best sensors from the industry, integrating them, and then providing guides on how they need to be used. After the sensors, the heart of the unit is the call center. And you can see in here 4 different clinics. You can see on the left a clinic which is based on Zoom and age 3 to 3, a therapy clinic which is a regular Zoom room, another different room for diet and nutrition, as a phone number that can be used for a support line and connect to the healthcare organization phone number. All of this is controlled through the cloud, and we'll talk about it later on. If you want to attend a session, you can see it was a single touch to press and join a session. And now we are in a Zoom call. You can see the Zoom room. On the top, you can see the different controls of the Zoom experience, including support of controlling the far end of the camera, as well as the far end is able to control a point-tilt zoom of the local unit. If you need to activate different healthcare sensors, all the user needs to do is touch the stethoscope or touch the pulse ox, and the information is then being displayed or streamed live to the clinician. So different devices are supported today. We even support things like, and you can see over here, an otoscope being used, and this information is shared live as well as captured so the clinician can view those. In the end of every visit, we collect the information, both the medical quality and the product quality, and share it back with the healthcare organization. So that's the first part of the experience, which is really the physician experience.
So you've shown us how
the patient experience.
You've shown us how a patient can interface and access and the tools available. What about the other side? How about the clinician? What is the healthcare provider going to see and experience?
All right, so what you see here is the clinician experience, and he's logged here on the website over here. This can be done through any browser, and even done on a tablet or on a phone. And they log in here. They can, you can see here, change the content, configure the unit, manage unit, control which clinics are offered, and there is a call center option. So when a call comes in, there is a notification. You get to go to the call center. You learn that this is a call coming into the therapy clinic, and all you needed to do was press the button, join, and you are now in the Zoom meeting. You can see that during the Zoom meeting, we are providing you with a link on the right, which is a secure private link that allows the clinician to view the healthcare information of the patient in real time. So if we now click on this link, we jump into the secure website. The user is notified in real time that the clinician is viewing them. And now you can see how for the website, we can view real-time information of the pulse ox coming in. And you can see how we can switch and view a stethoscope and listen to the stethoscope. And again, the audio from the stethoscope is streamed separately from the Zoom call. So basically we maintain the fidelity of the audio and able to listen to it from in high quality from the desktop. You can see here even as well as we can control and start the different diagnostic devices. Again, trying to keep it as simple and easy to use to the clinician. And here you can see how the photos that we have seen a few seconds ago can be viewed by the physician and reviewed during the call. So short, simple, easy to use. That's the big emphasis for us.
So clearly, Ram, you're leveraging your experience from the mobile industry. So what about deployment then and managing? It's going to be critical for these institutions. How is this mobile product deployed and managed?
So in the mobile industry, we don't think just about the device. It's always the device and the web. And an integral part of what we do is everything on the device is controlled remotely. You can define new clinics, so you can say, today I want to have a new therapy clinic. It will be this specific Zoom number, and so I can define a Zoom clinic using H323 that go directly into our existing emergency care setup. You can then define a configuration for units for schools, units that go into a community worker remotely, wherever they are. And then you go deploy the unit, deploy the information remotely all through the web. You can see if there are any technical problems happening on the unit. Everything is controlled through the website.
Very nice. So what about, obviously you're dealing with patients. It's paramount that patient privacy is cared for. How are you handling patient information?
That's a critical point when it comes to healthcare. And the simple solution is we don't do anything with the data. We don't store or collect any healthcare information. What we do is provide a secure GALE unit into the physician in real time. And the healthcare.
Ram, I think your connection's kind of a little slow there. I think you're fine now, though.
Okay.
So I think we lost a moment there, Ram, but it's important. Basically, you're mirroring what Zoom is doing. We're not holding any patient information at all. So we're ensuring privacy that way.
And you're HIPAA compliant, so it's secure end-to-end. The healthcare information in real time is secure end-to-end. We finish the visit, we upload it to the EHR and delete the data. Keeping the data is not our business, it's the healthcare industry data.
It's a combination of your product and your endpoint, our platform, and we're preserving patient privacy throughout.
Absolutely, that's a critical part of our offering.
Good. You mentioned this sort of concept of digital health centers, and when I kicked off the call, we talked about how the delivery of healthcare is changing, the delivery of technology is changing to match. Maybe we could talk a little bit more about that. You know, it's this sort of this concept that, like in the world of education, it's no longer about the building specifically or this or where the school is located. I think that model's relevant in healthcare, starting to be more about patient, delivery and outcome as opposed to specifically in some cases the location. What about digital health centers? Can you speak to that?
Yes, I can. Um, Often we talk about this unit as a kiosk or a tablet. And we think that's the wrong way of experience.
Ram, I think it might be. I think it might be on Wi-Fi. His Wi-Fi connection might be a little.
Statistics, wellness for
Yeah, I think we're having a little.
Yeah, apologize for that.
chronic disease.
We'll get him back right now. Thank you. And while he's coming back in, you'll notice some links in the chat window. We had a couple of people ask questions on more info on 19 Labs. Take a look in the chat window. There's a link to the site there, and we'll also provide a link to the Zoom telehealth
All right.
link there as well. Yeah, Ram, it looks like you're kind of cutting in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think it's your connection. I'm not sure if it's the Wi-Fi you're on or if you're hardwired in, but yeah, it looks like you're kind of cutting in and out there. Apologize for that, folks. George, there's a couple of questions. Some people were asking while waiting for Ram to jump back in about just other integrations that we offer here with Zoom. Like, is there like any sort of like, I guess, kind of systems that we use, like people use for telehealth, things like that?
Yeah. So while you're getting resettled, Ram, he's answering a couple of questions that came in. From an integration standpoint, we do actually an integration right within Epic. So on an EMR with Epic, we do context-aware linking. Epic's very supportive of this. We've had good success with it in the market. And then we also tandem in a partnership to do workflow integration so that we can create virtual visit experiences for healthcare. So those are all things we'd love to explore with you at some point.
There we go. Ron, looks like, let me rename you. Looks like it came in under Victoria's link, but I'll get you in there. There we go.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think to reset you, Ron, we were talking about digital health centers, and you had the notion of, this could be an employer site, it could be a school, could be within a pharmacy. I think you're talking again, leveraging your mobility approach.
Absolutely, and the main point in here is healthcare is moving outside of hospitals. Intermountain just announced a virtual hospital. And if you think, where is it going to happen? Is it all going to happen on our phone? No, there are diagnostic devices. There is experience. Physicality is important. So the healthcare is going to move into those places. It's going to move into an employer. It's going to move into a school. And when it moves to those places, it needs to be a full healthcare experience, not just a video call. And that's what we mean by a digital health center. It's the place where the AI, the smart diagnostic, the wellness program, the chronic disease programs, all of them converge into a seamless experience. And that's what we mean about making healthcare accessible. And that's what the digital health center is about.
So how's it going, Ram? How's the deployments going so far? How's it being received in the market? What's the reaction to GALE?
It's been fantastic. We've been building it for the last 2.5 years. The early field testing started in 2016. We've been late 2017 starting the deployments throughout the country in Canada, mostly in rural areas right now, schools, care facilities, where social community workers use it today. We have signed a top US insurance company. Still, the name is still not public. And the large 21-inch unit that you have seen earlier has been developed with them. And as we have been doing this, really got fantastic feedback. And the first large employer is deploying it later this year. And the first max trials are starting in July. So it's been keeping us pretty busy.
It's very exciting. Congratulations, you and 19 Labs. I have a few more questions, but thought this might be a good time. If there are questions from the audience that we could take those, I can prompt a few more, but anything from out in the general audience that you guys would like to ask and we can handle?
Okay.
I got it, Rob. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it looks like it brought you back in, so let me go ahead and unmute that one there.
Okay.
There you go.
You see any questions, Raul, that we can be dealing with?
Yeah, let me take a look at some of these here. Someone was asking, I don't know if you go into pricing here, Rob, but someone was asking just kind of the difference between the units, kind of price points, things like that. I don't know if that's something you want to go into.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. And, you know, we come from the healthcare industry. And the healthcare industry, we come into the healthcare industry with a mobile industry perspective. And the mobile industry, it's all about low unit costs, large volumes, and thinking about the service as a way of aligning incentive. So from a costing perspective, this is a SaaS platform, and we will be glad to work with any one of the customers about it. What I will say is that every customer we have talked to looked at it and say that this is the most affordable telehealth solution that they have looked at. And that's exactly because we bring the mobile industry thinking about pricing into the space.
And one question, just to reintroduce, Ram was asked if you're out of the U.S. He's not. He's actually here in Redwood City, and is based here in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
And I see another question. Yes, the GALE is FDA approved. It's an MDDS class 1 unregulated device. All of the diagnostic devices are approved by the FDA, depending on the right level, class 2, class 1. And that's critical for us is to maintain the quality. Even though the device is class 1 unregulated, we have reviewed it with the FDA, brought it to the FDA multiple times, to the digital health group, and collaborated with them, thinking through the development, how to verify, and what's the scope of an MDDS.
I see several questions here, Ram, related to cost. Maybe just you could generally speak to the business model. You know, are you looking at annual fees, or is this something you sell as a capital?
Monthly or a quarterly fee that gives the customer access to the video, the voice, the cellular connection. The units have a cellular built into backup. Just as you've seen today, Wi-Fi sometimes doesn't stay stable, as well as the platform access, the ability to configure, control, get access to the clinical information in real time, monitor the units. So there's a single, simple monthly fee that comes with the units.
A monthly fee, okay. Do you work with electronic stethoscopes? I think you showed that. So speak to the edge devices as well.
Yeah. So one of the things we decided from the beginning is that we don't want to develop diagnostic devices. We are seeing amazing innovation around diagnostic devices. And we believe that if we had our own devices, we'll not be able to bring this innovation into the patient. We'll start preferring our devices versus the others. We see ourselves more as a Switzerland, working with the healthcare organization, understanding their need, understanding what the physician wants, what's the use case is, and then helping them find better devices. And if we look at the kind of devices that's coming up in the industry right now, it's just amazing. Like by 2019, we are going to start seeing some blood testing. This year, we are seeing a couple of interesting ultrasound devices. The price and the performance of different imaging devices like this is going to go down. We look at this as an amazing opportunity to go and bring those devices together.
Interesting question, possibly for both Raul and specifically on the bandwidth required, because one thing that's great about Zoom that I think Ram appreciates is the fact that we can deliver a quality meeting on low or fairly undetermined bandwidth.
Well, look behind me.
Yeah, so there you go. I was going to ask you about that application too. So tell us about that.
So this is a test we've done. I got bored on a transatlantic flight, and this is a test we did of using GALE in a commercial flight across the Pacific. And you can see Zoom on the left side, being again sitting on the chair, placing a video call. You can see on the right side a clinician view, being able to see the pulse ox and the video and the audio in real time. So yeah, in the near future, we hope that next time when they need a doctor on the flight, they'll actually be able to get the help and the assistance remotely. And Zoom has been amazing. Like I've tested different codecs, different web collaboration platform, and the ability to scale and adjust the bandwidth dynamically has been really impressive.
Do you find that the sensors associated with the device on GALE have the same, relative ability to stay up on low bandwidth, or how does that?
We manage that. So as you see here, the pulse ox is being displayed over here behind me, and that was in real time. Stethoscope in similar way. So the experience has been promising on testing it in commercial aviation. We've also tested it in remote towns in northern Canada, what we call a one cell site town, basically a town that has a good LTE tower and nothing else. And again, the experience, we compare different video technologies, the experience has been quite positive.
There's a couple of questions, Ram, about call center. And you mentioned call center in terms of one of the patient access points. Is there a workflow built into, for example,
don't build a workflow. We really focus on the endpoint of care. We don't want to be in the call center business, and we don't want to do the workflow. There are telehealth platforms that do it today, and we support the leading one that we announced is a partnership with American Well. So basically, if you are concerned about the workflow and the integration, you can basically have an American Well clinic side by side with a Zoom clinic on the GALE units.
Zoom does have an additional integration partner as well that does have that workflow to build virtual visit and to match doctor and patient calendars and stuff. So that's something that if somebody in the crowd wanted to explore, just reach out and we can talk to you about that as well.
Okay, yeah. One other question I see somebody interesting asking here is, why do we call it GALE? And the story, and why do we call the company 19 Labs? And that's an interesting story. The background is that when we were starting the company, I was sitting with Peter Fitzgerald, who's one of the top cardiologists in the nation from Stanford, and we were talking about the name of the product. And we said, we really believe in what Florence Nightingale did in her life and where we can take it. And he says, we share the same vision. And my response was, but it's too long of a name to call a product Nightingale. And he says, well, just call it. And it's been called GALE, and the company has become 19 Labs. And that's the story behind the name.
How about GALE Mini and Max? We were asked, can you maybe elaborate the difference between the two?
Yeah, so we believe there are different form factors that will be used by healthcare providers, and you don't want to have a different platform for different form factors. So you see here a desktop version, which is the Max, and you see here the Mini, which the community worker can take with them. They can put it at home, they can carry with them. It's obviously cheaper to have the 10-inch unit than it is to have the 21-inch unit. And we believe there are other form factors coming up, and we are working with them to, again, work with the industry, understand the use cases of where they need to create endpoints, and then create the best endpoint possible. All of them share the same experience. So if you look at the 10-inch and the 21-inch, it's basically the same experience. You don't need to retrain your people. They are familiar with both the experiences, but the physical size need to be adapted to different settings. And we are working with the customers to listen to them. And there is another form factor coming up toward the end of the year.
We did get a question about access to interpretive services, so language interpretation, American Sign Language. We, on the Zoom side, again, through this integration partner to develop workflow, we can build hooks in for that. So this would be, this would be a combination of GALE on the edge, Zoom providing the puzzle piece for the collaboration motor, and then the workflow would provide the accessibility out to something like interpretive services.
Yes, exactly. And that's part of the great experience we've had working with Zoom. Looking at some of the questions that came up here, how are calls routed to the desired provider? Again, as George said, that some of the work that Zoom has been doing together with some of the EHR system to integrate the workflow. At the same time, you've seen basically if you're logged in, the moment the call comes in, you see which clinic it is, and the different physicians see if somebody picked it up, if it's a clinic that they serve or not, and they can pick it up. So we're trying to keep things simple and really focus about creating the best endpoint experience.
Is the complete system available for sale in Europe?
We have not started selling it in Europe. That's something we plan in doing in 2019. But in general, my suggestion is if anybody has an interest in it, please contact us, sales@19labs.com. Victoria leads our sales effort, and we'll be glad to get back with you with more details.
Lots of great questions here. Thank you so much to the crowd. What about a test or a loaner or a proof of concept? How would somebody explore this product with Yoram?
Again, we often do it with some of the customers, the significant customer opportunities. We get some evaluation unit, but the best way is really talk to our sales team, and we'll work together with you to accommodate and make it easy for you to pick it up.
I see some commonality in handling data. So documenting the session, porting information to the EHR. What say you about that part?
What we do is we will take a record, for example, of today, that there was a video call happened, and that the video call had a bad Wi-Fi connection and had to drop. We will not keep in our records any patient information whatsoever. So we allow you to manage the deployment. When there is any healthcare information, we upload it to the EHR system and then we delete it. So that's the approach that make it easy to deploy, easy to manage through the cloud, but maintain the healthcare organization existing security policies, standard EMR system, and just bringing the information into it.
Right.
We have a white paper that we usually share with our customers around the security and how we implemented the security. And there are actually some very interesting patents pending on how we've implemented it. So it's something we take very, very seriously and something we've innovated around.
I see. Can GALE go on a small card? I don't see why not, right? As long as you have access to the network, it would save you all the production other than the card itself, which is pretty commodity, right? So you could put GALE.
We've shown it on during ATA, and we've shown it actually on one of the GCX cards, and it's been a really great solution, and one of the customers is deploying it that way.
We've been asked a few times. I did reference Epic. Ram and I haven't talked specifically if we were to have an Epic integrated Zoom instance, which we can do. How do we smush all that together to work with GALE? That's something we'd have to explore. But certainly, I think Zoom is in a position with Epic now where our integration is in a very good place. We have several around the country functioning, and that's something I think we just have to explore together, right, Ram?
Absolutely. And long term, I saw a question here about our technology roadmap. And we don't have a technology roadmap. We have an experience roadmap. We prefer to start with the experience of the clinician and the experience of the patient and think about how we improve it and improve the care, and then bring technology into it. And with this mindset, there is a lot of things that we can do to make the experience of the clinician easier and the experience of the patient easier. And that's where we are putting our effort into.
Yeah, and I know another good question. I don't want to make the Epic portion seem exclusive because it's really not. It's just it's a level of integration we've gone to with that particular company. If we were to certainly, through workflow, we could handle data flow to other EMRs, but not in a specific Zoom integrated fashion at this point. There were a few questions.
I think that the nice thing about working with Zoom and us is we really look at technology and try to adapt it quickly and bring the best experiences to the consumer with it. So if you've seen what we have done in the last 2.5 years, you can imagine where it will go in the next year and 2 years.
Does the device have an API? I know you've leveraged our API and our SDK. So does the device have an API that someone can integrate into their world?
Send us email, let's talk about it.
Yeah, great workflow question. I think trying to see if we've covered the majority of the themes here.
In general, I see some more questions about open and APIs. We consider GALE to be an open platform. We don't want to do, there's too much innovation in the industry for one company to do it alone. So it's critical for us to bring those best innovation. We will partner, we will open up APIs, and we will work with the industry to really bring those innovations over. So if you're asking about SDKs, APIs, contact us. We haven't officially opened any APIs yet, but this is something we plan on doing. We want to bring innovations. One of the things you have seen that we don't do any analytics because we believe there's a lot of innovations outside that we want to integrate in. So we focus on the endpoint experience and about really bringing all of those amazing innovations from the industry together to create the best experience for the patient and the best experience for the physician. So next time I go scuba diving in Mexico, I have a better experience.
You and I talked yesterday, Ram, about artificial intelligence and AI, and we know that's part of the future. I don't think we can define it just yet, but certainly in your product, thoughts about hooks into AI?
Yes, absolutely. AI is going to be a really important part of healthcare. It will come from different vendors. It won't be one vendor that has the whole solution for AI. There is machine learning, there is signal processing and AI, there is conversation and chatbots. The important part is, again, going back to Atul's comments, and I'm just so happy Amazon is going in that direction. It's really about system thinking, about how we bring those separate pieces together in a way that works well. And that's what we are dedicated to do.
See here, continuing to scan for probably just wrap with it. Maybe just a couple more messages. I think, from Zoom standpoint, it'd probably be a little selfish on my part, but I would love to hear about your experience, because you've applied a lot of thought to this, and then you took another tool, which is Zoom, and integrated your product. How did you find that experience to be?
We have an engineering team that came from the mobile industry. And my co-founder, Jerry Hall, has architected and built the first app shop in the world. That was in 2001. It was called Brew, and he was the brain behind it. So we've looked at a lot of different technologies and SDKs. We were building it, and we support multiple SDKs of different diagnostic devices, SDK of different web collaboration technologies, SDKs of telehealth platforms. Experience with the Zoom SDK has been quite positive. Well documented, easy to use, minimal level of bugs, updated in the right frequency. So that has been a great experience.
Thank you. I do. I think, we see ourselves here at Zoom as the motor inside of telehealth, and we think within the next couple of years, we can really move to a position where, as you all know, it is a puzzle, and there's a lot of pieces involved, and we're going to do our best to be a puzzle piece for the collaboration element that's rock solid, easy to access, and available on low bandwidth. And we just really appreciate companies like yours at 19 Labs building edge devices that complement that, so we can we can really affect outcomes in the healthcare space. So
that's what we are all trying to do.
On that, we just appreciate so much your ingenuity and your presentation today, and we'll gather these questions through our help from our host here, Raul. We'll get answers back to all of you. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you again and bringing some more innovation to market. Thanks, Ram, and thanks, everyone.
Thank you, George. Thanks, the Zoom team. Take care.